Hey there, I'm Brad Talton, founder of Level 99 Games and the creator of the Minigame Library, and I'm going to teach you how to play Infinity Dungeon. Infinity Dungeon is a non-competitive storytelling game for 3 to 8 players. It plays in about an hour. So let's take a look at how the game plays. Infinity Dungeon is a cooperative storytelling game for 3 to 8 players. Inside of each box, you'll find 40 room cards, 10 character cards, and 4 voting cards. The components are the same in each game, but there are different cards. So you have a total of 80 rooms, 20 characters, and 8 voting cards in the library. Begin the game by shuffling together all of the rooms. And all the characters. Deal each player at the table 3 characters. These will be their starting characters. Now, the voting cards have 4 different backs. One of them tells you how to set up the game. Another one tells you the rules for voting. The last 2 are the active player and active GM cards. These will go to 2 of the players who are going to start out as the active player and active GM. Everyone else, everyone else gets a normal voting card, including the active player and active GM. The rest can be set aside. Now, each player will look at their 3 characters that they've been dealt and choose one that they wish to keep. The rest they'll throw back into the center. Once everyone has selected their characters, then we can set the remainder of the characters to the side and each reveal our characters and introduce them, reading off any of the text. On a character card, the top part will tell you about your character and whatever kind of special powers or drawbacks they have. The bottom part will tell you about your equipment, starting equipment. Any icons with a star in this bottom box are minions that you'll control during your game. So, once we've all introduced our characters, the game begins proper. The active GM will reveal 5 cards from the top of the deck, setting them like this. The top card is the room we're in, and the words at the bottom here are items that can be found in that room. So, for example, right now we're in the Great Room. Inside this room there's a convenience store, a jumbotron, a 10-foot pole, a large diamond, and a panhandler. The active GM will read off the starting text of the room, which explains the sort of puzzle or trap that this room contains. The active player will be in charge of coming up with a plan to get all the team members, including himself, out of the room safely. For example, in this room, the floor of this room is a grate that's above a pit of razor-sharp spikes 15 feet below. The door to the next room is plainly visible across from your entrance, but it seems to be locked. Down below the iron grate, you see the key glimmering amidst the spikes. So, in this room, we have to find a key that's been dropped down below a grate above some spikes below us. We have all the powers of our specific characters, all of their equipment, and all of the items in this room. The active player will then come up with a plan to retrieve the item. For example, he might say, use the 10-foot pole with a fishing hook that he bought from the convenience store to fish out the key and take us to the next room. Then, all of the players at the table will vote on whether they believe the plan is awesome enough or needs more work. Starting with the active player and going around, each player sets their card to the thumbs up, which is a vote of confidence, or the red hand, which is a vote of challenge. Each player who challenges the vote needs to come up with a specific condition that they would like to have added to the plan. For example, the archaeologist who's thrown up a red flag to the plan might say, I want to see something explode, or I want to see Abraham Lincoln in this plan, or, how are you going to work the jumbotron into this? At that point, the active player must come up with a way to work the element that was challenged into his plan. So, for example, maybe he will dress the panhandler up as Abe Lincoln and have him reach down with a 10-foot pole to grab the key. In this case, he would have succeeded the challenge given by the other player, and the other player's vote would be reversed. In addition, he gains a bonus for having a reverse challenge vote. This goes around until every player has voted. At the end of the vote, the active GM card has a table which tells you, based on the number of players in the game, how many points you'll get for each thumb up or each succeeded challenge. Challenges that are denied, if the active player says, no, that's just too silly, I'm not going to work it in, those score 0 points. Total up all your points, then the active GM will reveal the top card of the deck. If your total plan strength is equal to or higher than the resolution number here at the bottom of the card, then the plan succeeds. If the card is higher, then the plan fails. In the case of a success, the GM will narrate how the plan succeeded, typically just saying, and it works out the way that it was planned. In the case of a failure, the GM will have to describe the grisly death of the active player in the plan's failure. After this, if the player fails, then his character is killed, and a new character of his choice from 3 walks into the room to take his place. Then play would continue. In the case of success, the room is cleared, and then the active GM badge passes to the right, and the new GM will begin a new room. When the active player badge and the active GM badge would go to the same player, the player badge jumps over. So the active GM and the active player will never be the same person. That is pretty much the entire game. You play to about 1 or 2 rooms per player. If you have 5 or fewer players in your group, 2 rooms per player is a good round. If you have 6 or more, 1 room per player is typically the gameplay. And there's no winning and losing. This is a purely cooperative, non-competitive storytelling game. So whoever has the most fun wins. There are a few special caveats to Infinity Dungeon that I should mention. First is puzzles involving keys. Some of the puzzles will involve keys, and these puzzles will only be able, or the doors that have keys in their room can only be opened by that key. You cannot blow up or break down or pick a lock. In Infinity Dungeon, you have to acquire the correct key. If a room becomes unsolvable due to something somebody did, maybe the key gets destroyed in a failure attempt, or a certain person that you need to survive gets killed. If you leave the room and come back in for the next player's turn, then the room completely resets and everything is back to its initial state. So you can always start from scratch when starting another plan that somebody else has previously failed. Some items on the cards have stars in the bottom. In this case, the active GM's job is to determine what the star is. For example, this one says a sidekick, so maybe we meet, I don't know, Short Round from Indiana Jones in the game, in this room. Sometimes we will have people who are starred, like I believe previously we had a celebrity. In this case, all the players at the table would vote on who the celebrity is going to be when this card is selected as a character. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video, and I hope you enjoy Infinity Dungeon. Happy gaming.